Republican Senator Mike Braun stepped in it on Tuesday after he said the Supreme Court should just let the states decide if they want to ban interracial marriage.
So you would be okay with the Supreme Court leaving the question of interracial marriage to the states?
Yes, I think that that's something that if you're not wanting the Supreme Court to weigh in on issues like that, you're not going to be able to have your cake and eat it too. I think that's hypocritical.
What about Griswold versus Connecticut?
Well, you can list a whole host of issues. When it comes down to whatever they are, I'm going to say that they're not going to all make you happy within a given state, but that we're better off having states manifest their points of view rather than homogenizing it across the country as Roe versus Wade did.
Okay. We're better off. Who's we? For one, that's my question. Who's we? Who's better off? Certainly not voters of color. Certainly not people who want to be interracially married. So, okay. So let me just, flat out point out how Mike Braun thinks that, it's just fine if we let the court or reverse the right to abortion across the country, but also the right to get married to a person of a different skin color. And by the way, also allow states to ban gay marriage again. Again, that's just some of the decisions that would be impacted by this. A whole host of other issues that would be left to the state legislatures. By the way, a lot of states are controlled by Republicans. So basically, we would leave these civil rights issues, the right to privacy and equal protection under the law, they would be left to Republicans in states. Now, I'm not saying every Republican would be like, yeah, we're definitely going to do that and get rid of those rights, yeah. But I'm saying that it's more likely in a Republicans to happen. And so, look, theoretically, what you would end up having is basically two different, like every little state is its own little fiefdom with its own laws now and rights for people. So, for example, you could have abortions in New York, right? So legal in New York, it'd be illegal in California, Oregon, a handful of other states. And then in other states like Mississippi, Louisiana, you would have, Kentucky, no same-sex marriages, no abortion, no interracial marriages, and a whole host of other issues. This would be the result. That's a disaster. What that would be is the legalization of discrimination against racial and not just racial minorities, but also people based on the issue of gender identity and sex, as well as, who they're attracted to and who they want to marry. So that's disastrous. So many different horrible things would happen as a result of letting the states basically decide who gets rights and who doesn't. And so, look, understand that a lot of very large, important Supreme Court decisions have stepped in to stop that kind of discrimination because it was already happening. Again, Obergefell basically stopped states from discriminating against people who were gay and allowed them to get married. Roe was another decision, right? Where you had states that had already banned abortion and, yes, even contraception for women. And so that wasn't even legal up until the 1960s. And you also have interracial marriage, which, by the way, that was legalized in 1967 in Lovingville, Virginia. And so understand, these are not hypothetical situations where they were banned. No, Republican and generally Southern conservative states already banned these things. And then the court had to step in and say, actually, that's against the Constitution. That is unconstitutional. We need to protect people's rights, equal protection under the law, and privacy. And so that's the situation. And by the way, when you think about 1967, that is not that long ago. People are still alive from a time where, in some places, in the supposed land of the free, They were not allowed to marry someone of a different skin color, different race. And Mike Braun says, no. Oh, watch. Some of those decisions, it might not make some people in the state happy at all, but it's better than guaranteeing, or it's better to not guarantee everyone's rights, because that would be homogenizing. No, his argument is, we just want our states to be openly racist. And so, now obviously he got a lot of backlash for this. And so he came up with an excuse. You're going to love this one. He's like, I didn't get the question. I didn't. Here's his quote. Earlier during a virtual press conference, I misunderstood a line of questioning that ended up being about interracial marriage. Let me be clear on that issue. There is no question the Constitution prohibits discrimination of any kind based on race. That is not something that is even up for debate. Oh, really? You just brought that up for debate? And I condemn racism in any form, at all levels, and by any states, entities, or individuals. Yes, the Constitution does prohibit discrimination based on race, at least at the moment. But, when Republicans are done with it, you better watch out. Remember, the whole purpose of the Supreme Court is to interpret whether the laws that are passed are in line with the Constitution, right? And so now, again, these decisions like Obergefell, Loving, and Roe are based on the 14th Amendment. For Roe, it's the right to privacy that is protected by prohibiting states from making laws that will infringe on your personal autonomy. And that's what it is, bodily autonomy. Your right to bodily autonomy as a woman, or your right as a same-sex person, or not even a same-sex person, but generally this is who it applies to, who you marry. Again, marriage, not from a religious standpoint, because there's actually two different types of marriage. That's marriage that's recognized by the church, and marriage that's recognized by the state. I don't care at all, what the church says, right? If the church says, if you're a part of this religion, you can't marry that person or whatever, I don't really care. That to me is not binding. I don't give a shit. You can say that whatever you want. But what I'm worried about, what I'm concerned about, what I care most about is the state. Because that confers certain legal and financial rights. And Republicans do not want to respect that. And so much for pro-freedom, right? Now, as far as gay marriage, again, going to that, the Equal Protection Clause requires states to license a marriage between two people of the same sex, and the same clause applies to interracial couples. And so, again, this guy essentially admitted in the open that those decisions by the Supreme Court was a mistake made by activist judges. Now think about that. You're an activist judge by saying that the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment applies to same-sex couples. That's insane. Why are they not equal under the law? You think they're lesser than you. That's why. You think they're lesser than you, and you think that you should be able to tell them what they can and cannot do as far as who they can love, who they can marry. It doesn't make any sense. But again, they want to run your life. That's what the modern conservative movement wants to do. They want to run your life. They want to tell you exactly what to do based on their interpretation of their religious holy books. That's it. They don't care at all about your privacy or your rights or your freedom. Now, as far as their rights and freedom, and privacy, we absolutely care about our privacy, especially when it comes to who funds us. How dare you know who funds Republicans? But for us, I want to know what's in your bedroom. I want to know who you're having sex with. If you're a woman, I want big government all up in your womb. Really, this is the party of freedom? This is the party of freedom. The only freedom that they want is for people to be racist, and to control women's bodies. The freedom to control another person. That's what they want. And also freedom for corporations, but not for workers. No, no, no. This is who they are. Braun didn't misunderstand that question at all. No, in this case, his biggest problem is that he was too honest. And then realized that he was being too honest. But there is that old saying, you know, when people show you who they are, well, then you should believe them.